Welcome to the WangHiro podcast, where we answer Malaysians' burning questions about personal finance with fact-based answers.
Eating out or getting your food delivered is a convenient solution to solve our daily hunger. But could we be paying too much for this convenience? Welcome back to WangHiro with me, Louis, and my co-host John. On today's podcast, we're asking, is eating out eating into your retirement? So John, how much do you spend on eating out on average per month?
Okay, context-wise, I live in Klang Valley, and traffic jam sometimes can go up to 1 to 2 hours, right? Yeah, very common. I think anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 a month eating out for the whole family. For the whole family. Yeah, for the whole family.
Actually okay.
Yeah, but this does not, because I'm very lucky. My wife is a stay-home wife. So average days that we go out to eat is probably like 3 days a week. And we spend 4 to sometimes 5 days eating at home. So the grocery bills come up to usually about 3,000, because we don't eat seafood. Okay, my kids don't really like seafood. We do eat fish once in a while. Actually, every week we have fish. We're very lucky already. Every week we have fish, pork, chicken. We don't eat beef too. So again, yeah, it's quite limited to white meat lah. Usually white meat lah, right? Okay, I love beef, but my wife doesn't take beef. So in the end, mainly chicken, mainly pork, and seafood. Okay, so but eating out, average, yeah, I think sometimes it does get to about 3K, depending on our schedule for that month. So if our schedule for that month that I'm traveling and then she's like alone at home and then the kids are at school, then maybe she takes out and things like that. Yeah, so I would say 2K a month would be the average lah.
It's quite comfortable for you, right? To pay that, at least for in your situation. It's like not really breaking your budget or anything like that.
Yeah, and this is you have to consider as the whole family. I'm feeding 4. So what about you, Louis?
Myself, I think I've spent about the same. It's because like I think if it's year 2000, it's about 500 per person over 4.
Over a month, right?
Yeah, correct. So I think about the same lah, because I also like eat mostly home cooked food. I mean, for me, it's generally a preference. I prefer to eat home cooked food because it's healthier. I realized there was a year I got really busy and I started to eat out like 70% of the time. I gained a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So I decided like just to cut back on all of that lah. So let's take out like maybe every week, maybe just like 30% of it is takeout, versus like used to be 70%. So for me, also quite sustainable. Myself, I also have like, I guess, similar dietary choices with your wife. I don't eat beef. I actually don't really eat meat lah. Yeah, a bit of meat. I used to be vegetarian for 9 years as well. So so a lot of these things very, very cheap lah. Very cheap to feed. So when it comes to like budgeting these things, for me, it's not a very conscious decision. It's not. I don't have a very I don't crave a lot of food. I'm not a big foodie, so I think on that part it's automatically a win lah, because I don't really think about it. I eat because I'm hungry. So but like a lot of people out there, maybe for us we still have that option of eating at home. Some people, they are too busy to cook. Or sometimes they are just one person, right? Why would they cook for themselves? Sometimes the food goes bad if they buy the groceries. So in this kind of situation, is there a way to balance their budget? And eating out is always more expensive. Like probably like we'll see a markup of 30 to 70% over on top of your grocery bills if you keep eating out. But at the same time, if you have a moderate or entry-level income, yet you can't cook for yourself, and this is the only what should they do with this?
Yeah, I think it's a very wide-ranging question, so I can only share maybe based on certain scenarios. When you are a fresh graduate, you're single, and then it's not just the cooking time, it's actually the cleaning up and all that kind of thing, which some, when you're young, you want to climb the corporate ladder. I fully understand. By the time you get back, it's like, you feel like
very tired,
very tired already. So here comes the balance, right? I think meal prep is actually a very good thing, to be honest. Meal prep means you do the cooking on a Sunday. Okay, you buy your groceries, you do the cooking on a Sunday, and I think I know a lot of people say, "Wow, boring! I eat the same thing every day." Right? That's where the alternate days come in, lor. So maybe you meal prep for. I think mainly for lunch. I think dinner have a good one, lah. If you're already doing like a skimping option for lunch, at least dinner you do. You see, right? Why I'm like hesitant to give like a blanket statement is this. I've seen on one end of the spectrum, there's this guy, ex-colleague, his meal budget per day was 5 ringgit.
I mean, in all meals included?
Kalau mi kosong lor.
Oh,
So
okay.
kalau mi
Back then can lah. Back then probably can.
correct,
Can
kalau
back
mi
then.
kosong lor. But
Wow.
let me ask you, in the short term, yes, it fills your stomach, but in terms of your diet,
I think you'll become anemic or something, right? That's gonna
Yes.
have like different like. I mean, just on that point as well. I was vegetarian for 9 years, and I think I was not a very healthy vegetarian, and I can see the repercussions of just building back that health. Right, it costs a lot more, than whatever.
Precisely,
All the supplements, all the weight gain, a lot of problems that will
Yeah.
come back, creep back up at you at a certain age. You can do it in your 20s, and then the thing happens like in your 30s.
Correct. So that's one on the end of the spectrum, right? And then I have friends at 5 ringgit per day. I also people like they go eat rice and then they think twice about whether having a fried egg or not a fried egg. Okay. Now I understand meals are expensive. Okay. So that's why coming back to meal prep, have that healthy choice at least 30% minimum lah, 30% of the time. Home cook. Do it once, on the weekend, right? If you're busy, or over the week, and then you just meal prep. Because for me, it's not just about the money, Louis. It's about your healthy choices. I look back, right? I went through the same experience like you. The moment you eat, when my wife was a quantity surveyor, she worked from 8 till 7 or 8 every day, Saturday, Sunday included. And she was having outside meals, because we got time to cook, no kitchen also, rented a room, right? Then you can see all those health issues start coming up, right?
Yeah.
Then once we came to a point where we could have our own place, we cannot go back to that kind of single life anymore, right? And I think those that are making that discipline effort to start today, having that meal prep, really helps you in your future health benefits, save money, and also. Now here is the struggle. People say that, wow, you go out every day, grab food, whatever, unhealthy. For me, rather than thinking about eating out, paying that delivery service, think about the time exchange. Because like for me, even during days when all of us are at home, but my wife's tired and she doesn't want to cook because of schedule. Like one the examples is today she has to do a grocery, everything, not in time to cook. So I look back, right? I used to scheme. I said, wow, Grab now very expensive. Delivery fees 5 ringgit or sometimes 7 ringgit because it's a little bit further. But you think about it in KL, you take your car, you drive it out, you pay parking, wait, I'll bring it back. 7 ringgit. What's 7 ringgit? It's nothing. I'm buying back time. More importantly, I want to emphasize is your choices of food. If you order choices of food every day, fried, whatever, it's nice, it's detrimental to your health.
Yeah.
Right? But on the other end of the spectrum, every day you go Tangko, you go to the stalls and you say it's cheap. And you order those food, but no nutritional value.
Yeah.
You see where I'm coming from? It's really, it boils down to that balance of choices of food and ease or convenience, paying delivery fee. I pay delivery fee. People think it's expensive, but for me, I save time, but I order good, healthy food. You see where I'm coming from? So again, it's the nuance of the choices of food, choices of saving time.
So like on that point, right? The Grab, everything. I think back about the time you talk about hourly rate, right? So what if like our hourly rate, like let's say it's a student, your hourly actually lower than the Grab?
Than the Grab, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Then that's where the meal prep comes in, lor. Because if you know that's the case, then the meal prep comes in, because where I think the dilemma comes, they lump it all together. They said,
Yeah.
oh, you eat out. Yeah, but you eat out where? You eat out Alexis every day. Some chin gao la, 3,000 ringgit a month also not enough lah. Hello. You know,
Yeah.
Instagrammable places
Yeah,
lah, cafe lah, all that kind of thing. Of course, your meal budget will blow lah. You see?
Also, it's still like even eating out is still gonna be like quite a strategic choice, right? In this case.
Correct. So I think it's the nuances within case by case rather than, eat out is bad. Eat in is good.
Yeah.
No. There are eat out places that are cheap, nutritious, and that's where you become resourceful. And then you do the meal prep, you balance it with the eat out to those cheap, nutritious, good food places. That's where that balancing act comes in. You see? But if you're like having like, okay, Alexis came to mind because the reason why I use Alexis is because we had me and my ex-colleague, we had a conversation, and then she was talking about her younger sister. She was my colleague in the oil and gas company, right? And she said, I earn like 20-30K a month and I don't eat Alexis every other week, But the younger sister, right, who doesn't even earn that much, every other week or every other day is Alexis. I'm like, and then one tiramisu cake in Alexis is like 35 ringgit.
What? Wow.
Slice, not the cake, one slice, but it's really good. It's really good. I said, can. You go and indulge yourself. I'm not saying you cannot and scheme until like crazy. Can. But not every other day, lah. Unless you're making that kind of money, lah.
Yeah, I think nowadays, I see that culture as well. I'm in my mid-30s right now, and I see like, back then when I was in university, I never ate out, never, not even like once during the semester. We only like with my friends, we would keep some money and then eat out once, like a good meal one time the whole semester. But now, it's like, wow, I see left and right all the students are like drinking Starbucks every day.
Correct.
Cafe meals every day. I was thinking, wow, is this kind of money? Like I couldn't. Firstly, I couldn't afford it. Secondly, I was like, even if I could, I wouldn't do that. It's just different, very different culture. So like there's this like I feel like there is a cultural shift around these things.
It is.
I mean, when do you know like if you are really like if you what this habit that you have, like which is just eating out, indulging in good food, is actually affecting your retirement? Could it be like, okay, they're still young, they still have time to do that, and then
No,
think
because
about it later.
For me, I look at it and I'm just going to be frank about it. It's actually the parents' fault.
Oh, really?
And I tell you why. Oh, daddy, not enough. Daddy, not enough. Then you give, you give. But because of that, then after that, the parents will complain, oh, my child don't know how to budget, spend trip, every time ask for me for money. Yeah, because you didn't set the boundary in the first place, ma. Like for my dad, I came from, not a well-to-do family. The boundary is I don't even need to ask. I already know the boundary.
The answer is already like living in your head.
Yeah, it's like, suck it up, boy. You gotta figure it out, right? This is
That's how I was also like brought up. I was like, you always have to have a part-time job or something to pay for like my textbooks, everything I pay for myself.
It's like the hot boundary is already there. Now kids, you know why? Your parents don't even set budget. So what happens is when there's no budget, and I don't blame the child, because how would the child know? It needs guidance, it needs mentorship and all that. So we talk about budgeting, eating out, whatever. The habits will live with them from their teenage years until their adulthood. And then when they reach their adulthood, that's when they get the rude awakening. Oh no, my ATM machine is gone.
Wow, you laugh about it, but I mean, it's kind of scary to think about it, John.
Yeah. So you think about it, all that Starbucks, whatever. Actually, I had a friend, and one of the reasons why she started investing was because she couldn't afford a handbag. I repeat, she couldn't afford a handbag, right? That was a wake-up call, So can you imagine? In the past, so food don't need to worry, transport don't need to worry. We had to worry. Alamak, there was one time I was running low on my allowance for the week. I walked home, Louis. It was 1.5 hours walk.
Also no choice, right?
Yeah, so 50 cents bus, I missed the bus. Then I realized, crap, I want to get home also lah. So I literally walked home. So
Wow,
I
how
think
long
I was
did it take you?
15, 16 years old. 1.5 hours.
Wow.
Okay lah.
Okay,
Okay
like
lah.
okay,
Okay
like
lah.
still young. Okay.
Young, it's
You need the
fine.
exercise. It's okay. It's
Yeah.
training.
Correct.
I think there's also like the question of like the percentage, right, of eating out. That should we like have some guidelines around there, or
Yes.
is it flexible? Actually, okay.
Yes, I think you should. I think that's where, again, it boils back to the common root. Every scenario is different. Okay.
Yeah.
Some people, the diet, they require a little bit more healthy because of health issues. They need to nurse it back to health. So that's why I do understand if it's a bigger portion. So there's no hard and fast rule, but guidelines. I would say guidelines.
Yeah, guidelines.
I say if you spend more than 30% of your take-home pay for food, I think something is wrong. Yeah, I think something is wrong.
30%. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, like for example, if you're earning 3,000 and you're spending more than 1,000 ringgit for food, for example, right? Yeah, I think you may want to, and you're single because 3K, yeah. Again, some people will say, oh, but I have to support my parents, whatever. Yeah, different scenario. So, but hard and fast rule for a single person, if you're spending more than 30% on your take-home pay net on food, I think you better look at your choices. Yeah, because 1,000 ringgit, you think about it, one person, let's say average meal, one day you divide it up, 3 meals.
15.
Let's say I give you luxurious budget, 50. 50 a day times 3,000 is 1,005, That's very, very luxurious. But if you do meal prep, whatever, I'm pretty sure you can bring it down below 1K. I'm pretty sure you can bring it down below 1K.
I think you can easily bring it down to under 500 actually. Yeah, I've done it before. Yeah, when I was a student, I never ate out. I think back then that was 2009 to 2010. That
But today
era.
inflation have to
Yeah. So back then I only spent like 200 on my meals every month. So including inflation, still under 500 lah. Yeah. So I think it's possible.
1K is very possible. I think you do meal preps, you do like and you make healthy but conscious choices. I'm not saying go cheap like the friend, the acquaintance I had, like 5 ringgit a day and then call on me all the way, right? You got to pay more medical bills in the future. But if 5 ringgit and you budget out in meal prep, I think you can hit, to be honest.
You can.
Yeah.
I think, John, in this case, would you say, like in the earlier episode, we talked about like, okay, planning a wedding, we want to start with that constraint, right, in place. So is it the same here as well? We want to start with that.
Same. I think make it into an automatic thing in the sense that if you can have multiple accounts and each account for one purpose, right? That's the best. Or what you do is, if you don't want to have multiple accounts, then you put it into jars. So like, I know of a friend, okay? He by the way, this guy is a multi-millionaire, okay? He even has constraints for how much he spends on food and everything, okay? And what he does is he has different debit cards.
Oh, that's smart. That's the first time I've heard of that.
Yeah, he uses different debit cards. If that person is watching this, I think he know who I'm talking about. Okay, but he has different debit cards. So one debit card for, let's just say, meals, one debit card for travel, one debit card for like let's say parking fee or whatever. I do the same, but for business. So like all my business, I have 2 credit cards. So pay for my Google Suite, whatever, 1 credit card. I pay for all parking, 1 credit card, and meals, entertainment, 1 more credit card, right? So you can do that, automate yourself. So it becomes like systematic. You don't need to think,
Right.
Then you're running low, right? Then you realize, crap, I have like 2 weeks left and I only had 200. Then you become creative.
There's also like to take away some kind of like mental like strain, right? To think about, like if you have all the money mixed together, you think I still have, right?
Correct.
That is your parking.
Yes, exactly.
Right. That's very, very interesting. So I mean, with most people, can we apply so many debit cards? I didn't know that we could.
Debit card, you just open a savings account, you get a debit card already.
Oh, different accounts.
Yeah, different accounts. Different accounts. So I think he has about 3 to 4.
Makes sense. Oh, that's actually very smart. I didn't think of that. I only know of like doing it inside the same, like, but without the debit card. Yeah.
I've seen, okay, it triggered me, share with you another example. I have a friend, he's Scottish, wife is Filipino, okay? I worked with him for about 2 years when I was doing the Philippines project. And what the wife does, okay, he makes good money lah. He makes good money, oil and gas, right? What the wife does is, the moment money comes in, his budget to her, she will withdraw that whole thing, but she put into envelopes. So this is for children's meal. This is for and I think in the Philippines economy, there's still a lot of it can still be done by cash, right? So she'll have all this in buckets. So I think no matter how you do it, the concept is systemizing it into buckets. And once you systemize it into buckets, it becomes automatic. Then you know there's a constraint. Then you know maybe first 1-2 months you may not get used to it. You over budget. You dig out from some other buckets. Fine. But once you get into a habit, right, it becomes like for me, I check my credit card bills every month, every single month. I could have done it automatically. No. Why? It's just a mental mental muscle that I said, wow, I spent a little bit too much on Shopee. Then I go and look, it's for business. Then that's why I know that. That's why I separate it. That's why I separate out. This one for business. This one is for family. So when you become that, you create systems and it becomes automatic, and then you build this muscle. The moment I buy big ticket items on my credit card, I know that month I'm already going to pay extra. So then I realize that crap, there's a constraint. Other things cut ruthlessly. It means forget about buying the extra little thing this month. Like for example, I buy big video equipment, and if I know that month I'm buying this big video equipment, then other stuff I have to cut like expenses on that new software, even though it's for business, right? You're thinking then okay,
also.
Correct. I think long to short, systemize, have constraints. That's the rule of thumb. We can give you percentages and then you work around that, because a 3,000 guy versus a 30,000 guy, 30,000 it shouldn't be, if it's 30%, you're talking about 9,000 ringgit. Again, you see, that's why I said there's no hard and fast rule, correct?
Yeah, correct. I think we're trying to reach the people who are just starting out. I think still unsure. I mean, but final question. Is there a time when they shouldn't eat out at all though? Like, is there like an income level where you should just not eat out?
I think it's think of eating out then as a treat lah, because and when you go for a treat, do pamper yourself a little bit, because you see the constraint is, while we're teaching you how to budget, save and everything, you shouldn't live the life of in misery. When you live your life in misery and become a miser, what happens is you become Scrooge, right? You wouldn't be a very nice person to hang around with in society. And
so that will also impact income level.
Correct. And exactly, you hit exactly where I'm going to. You want to come to a point where you need to pamper yourself, because you are playing this for the long run. Don't go to, you see, a lot of people like to think in binary. You go super extreme, super budget, whatever, or you go super laissez-faire. You go like crazy about, right? YOLO kind of lifestyle. Everything in life is a little bit about balance and systems. Once you get that rule of thumb right and you feel comfortable, that's where, like for example, I spend a lot of money on training. So I don't mind eating a budget meal, but healthy. But I ruthlessly spend on training, because I know that's going to derive more income for me in the future, the skill set.
I think that's great advice. So hopefully we've covered everything. We've tried to cover all the different scenarios. I think mostly when it comes to eating out, it affects a lot of people, but most of the time it affects the people who are just coming out, into the society to have their first job, about thinking, hey, I'm trying to balance between my career growth as well as this like eating out, right? So hopefully you've picked up some pointers from John and myself. So that wraps up today's episode of WangHiro. We hope you picked up all those pointers and use it in your planning of your takeout budget. So if you still have questions on how to plan your budget for eating out, you can always leave your comments in the section below. Thanks for tuning in today's episode. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell to get more updates from WangHiro. We'll see you again in our next episode. Bye-bye.